hope everybody's been having fun working on their choice board this week. We're going to be exploring pop art, but we're going to do something different than you saw in the other tutorial. So I used a spirograph in the weekly video to show you how to make this artwork inspired by Bridget Riley. But today we're going to do an op art hand. So it will look like your hand is underneath a piece of paper or fabric, creating an optical illusion. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Looks like most of our friends have joined us. So you can choose to hold your paper horizontal or vertical. That is your choice. I'm going to go vertical today. And you're going to place your hand in the center of your paper. You can make a pose with it if I want to do a peace sign or just my regular hand, however you want to do that. Then grab your art tool and we're going to start tracing around our hand. Take your time. And there we go. When you're finished tracing your hand, you're going to go ahead and grab a ruler or a straight edge. So if you don't have a ruler handy, you could use the edge of another piece of paper or your notebook, whatever you have handy. And I'm going to place this at the bottom of my paper. And I'm going to connect the line, but I need to hop over my hand so the line does not go through the hand. We're going to go ahead and do that together. So hopping over and finish the line. I'm going to slide the ruler up. So now the bottom of my ruler is sitting on the first line that I drew. It's right there. I'm going to hold that flat with one hand. We know those papers and rulers like to wiggle, so we have to hold them down with a lot of pressure. And make my second line, hop over the hand, and finish on the other side. We're going to keep doing this until we get to the top of our paper. Slide the ruler up. It sits on the line. And we're going to connect. Just keep sliding and creating your lines. If you're having trouble holding your ruler and there's an adult nearby, maybe they can help you by holding the ruler down for you. They do like to wiggle. This one's a little tricky. I'm going to need to connect the space between the forefingers and the thumb. I want to make sure I don't draw across my thumb, so I have to do 2 hops this time. Hop. There we go. Hopping over. No, that one's not there. Hopping over this one, all the way to the edge. Hopping. So this is good practice for using a ruler. Again, these are all horizontal lines, so we're using our art vocabulary. Slide it up. And I've cleared all my fingers, so now I can go back to just making a straight line all the way across. It'll get a little easier now. Just keep sliding and drawing. And I'm going to give you a moment or two. Those last couple of lines were pretty quick for me, so I'm going to let you go ahead and finish those up. So I'm going to show you on the side over here, again, what our goal is. We want to make it look like that fabric or paper is curving over top of our hand. So we're creating the illusion of form. That's part of our op art illusion. So when we connect from the left to the right side, we're going to make kind of a rainbow shape. And we also want to make sure that we keep the spacing between the lines the same. So I don't want to have a skinny stripe and then a thick stripe. So let's see what we can do here. Starting at the bottom left, I'm going to make a slight curve up and over so that I touch the line on the right side. When I repeat that again, I want to make sure that the spacing is the same. So if I have about a half of an inch here, I want to have half of an inch there. And for me, I can use my finger as a guide to know where I'm going. That looks good. And connect. And we're going to repeat that. It's going to get tricky when we get up here to the finger, so we'll slow it down a little bit when we get to that step. But you're just going to keep on connecting the left to the right side. Here's one where it's going to get tricky. I'm going to have to imagine if this line connected where it would end. It would end right about there. So I'm going to give myself a dot so I have a target and know where I need to stop. I can also use that finger measurement to know about where I want to be. Here we go. I'm meeting my target. And now again over here, giving myself a little dot and a small rainbow to connect. This one's going to be very tricky. I have to hop over this pinky finger. Imagine where that would go and continue. And I'm going to bring it up from the right side to make that a little bit easier. And take your time. This is going to be saved in the YouTube archive, so you'll be able to go back and rewatch this later. So if you can't keep up with the pace that we're doing here, or if you need to take a break, that's okay. You can come back to this at any time. I'm going to do a small curve here. And again, imagining where that finger would stop. Again, on this finger. Looks like I'm getting a little skinny here. I have to watch and make sure that I'm making all my stripes the same thickness. I'm just going to keep going until we get to the top of those fingers. And my hand is finished and ready for color. One of the ways to create that illusion that the fabric is going up and over the hand is to color a shadow along the line where the stripe touches the finger or the wrist or the thumb. So as we're shading, and you can shade with anything. I can shade with a pencil, I can shade with a crayon. Marker is not the best because the color won't allow you to change pressure. So you might want to think about sticking with a colored pencil or a crayon for this. I'm going to use crayons. And because we're the Tracy Tigers, I'm going to use some blue stripes. That's one of our school colors. So I'm going to move this out of the way and get started. I'm going to make my first stripe at the bottom. So I'm just going to lightly color. I'm not using my full pressure. We've talked about this in class about the different ways to get pressure and make a darker color. So I'm just going straight across, imagining that that stripe is part of this curved line all the way across. And I like to color all of my stripes first and then go back and add the shadows because right now I'm using the same pressure and I know what that feels like and it will make it easier to do all of my stripes. So I hopped over that second stripe so I can create a pattern. Maybe I'll go in later and do that yellow to get both of our school colors in there. And I'm just going to keep on coloring all the way across. And I'm hopping over another one. This one's going to be another tricky one because I have to watch this space where it curves down around the thumb. So it does get a little tricky when we get into those finger areas. We have to pay attention with our coloring. We can't let our mind wander. I've really been liking all of the things you guys are submitting in your online choice boards. I hope that you've been enjoying getting to choose the thing that you do each week. I hope that's been fun for you. Okay, so again, I have to pay attention in here and watch the space. I don't want to color in that little, actually I do, that's blue. But I don't want to color in that little area down there between the fingers. Again, if you're just joining us, we are working on an op art hand, and this video will be posted in its entirety. That's the whole thing will get posted at the end of this session. And it looks like I needed to do a little tiny hop right here on that fingertip. I'm just going to add that back in. Okay, hopping over this one. And you don't have to limit this to 2 colors. If you had wanted to do a 3-color stripe, like red, white, blue, that would be fine. It's whatever pattern and whatever colors you want to use. This is your artwork. You get to choose. So my last 2 stripes up here don't have any of the hand in them. So I'm going to skip those for right now. And I can come back and color those later. While I have all of you here, I want to share with you how to get that nice shadow so the hand looks like it's popping up. So right along the edge, right here, I'm going to draw, and I'm using a good amount of pressure. And then I'm going to color above the hand. And as I get toward the middle, I want to change that pressure to become light again. So we call this a gradient. Fade is another word you might hear. So I'm changing the pressure from dark to light to make it look like that hand has 3D volume or form. Then I'm going to do the same thing away from the hand. So I'm coloring it dark, and then it's going to fade away. So I'm going to skip the white stripe. We'll deal with that later, but I'm going to just do all of my blue shading right now. So I'm going to trace on the pencil line that I made. And if you used a marker for that, you might not see your crayon over top. That's okay. Just use what you've got. That's been our theme during this time of distance learning. We use whatever we've got and we do the best that we can. If you're doing this artwork and you have not completed your choice board for the week, you could take a picture of this when you're done and you could share it to Seesaw if you're in kindergarten, first or second, or Google Classroom if you're in third, fourth, or fifth. I would love to see what you made. And this could be your weekly work. You wouldn't have to do a different project. And if you already did your work for the week, that's awesome. I would still love to see what you did. You can share that in one of our online classrooms if you want. And we're really just going to keep on going. We're going to do the same thing on each stripe. So once we get in the hang of it, it becomes pretty easy, but it's creating that really cool effect. And it looks a lot more difficult than it really is. This is a tricky area in here, this curve by the thumb. So I'm going to use that pencil line and do a little kind of mini shadow in there because my thumb is separate from the rest of the hand. So I want to give that illusion that there's a little bump and then another little kind of bump on this side. That's the trickiest part, I think, of the whole thing is this little thumb area. I bet you're doing a great job at home. I do have to get this other side of my thumb right here, just a little shadow in there. Good. All right, we're getting there. We're working our way up. This one will take a while because I have to do it on all 4 of the fingers. So I'm just going to do all my dark tracing first, and then I'll go back in and shade. If you need to leave, if you need to take a break, just for those of us who are just joining, we will have the entire video posted to the same YouTube channel later on. So as soon as we're done here live, we'll make this something that you can go back and rewatch if you need to catch up, if you needed to take a break. Maybe you're going to jump into a Zoom session with your classroom teacher in a moment. That's fine. This will be here for you to come back to. Shout out to all the parents that are at home doing the work with their kids. I've seen some students sharing that their parents are doing the projects right alongside with them. It's really great to see, and for them to see you practicing creativity at home. And just thank you for supporting everything that we are trying to do as we teach from home. This has certainly been interesting, and we appreciate all the things that you guys are doing. So again, we're just going to add that shading to each finger, taking our time. It's not raining here right now, so maybe you guys get to go outside and do your gym choice board in a little bit. Like I said, this one's going to be the hardest one. Once you get through this one, it's smooth sailing. Although your hands are smaller than mine, so you guys might be done already. You might already be at the top doing those easy stripes, and you'll be finished before Mrs. Woodland. That's okay. You could actually go in and you could start doing your second color of stripes. So you don't have to wait for me. If you're flying through this and you're quick with the coloring steps, you just go ahead because it's exactly the same. So if I'm doing yellow stripes here, I'm going to do the same thing just with a different color. And on that easy part, if you want to leave your stripes white, I'm going to show you a little trick to give that white a little bit of pop. So let me just get my blue stripes finished here, and then I'll show you a little sneaky trick. You know, Mrs. Woodland's all about those sneaky tricks. All right, so there is my blue op art hand. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to leave my stripes white for today, just to keep our video short. If you wanted to, again, you can later on go back in and add those colors. But if you're choosing, like I am, to keep your stripes white, you could use a gray crayon, a black crayon, a pencil, or brown. You could even use a lighter shade of the blue if you only had one crayon color. I'm going to go in with black, and I'm not going to draw that really dark, heavy line because white would not have a very dark shadow, but I am just going to put a little bit. So light's coming from the left side. We've talked about this in class too. And when the light hits an object, it creates what we call a cast shadow on the other side. So my hand is taking up space. So if the light is hitting my hand and that's raised up under the fabric, it's going to make that soft, gentle shadow on the other side. So I'm using just a little pressure. If we were my 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders talking about value on our value scale, this would be our number 1 value. Very light, almost a 0. Don't forget to go in these little curves. So each finger is going to cast its own little teeny tiny shadow. And I missed a part right in here. And up here, just little tiny shadows. I am liking the way that looks, and I am thinking that for now, this artwork is done. I might go back in later. Like I said, I might go in and put that yellow in for our school colors, but I think for right now, I'm going to call this one done. So if you have been joining us and you're falling behind, like I said, this video is going to go into the channel, I guess that's what you call it. And thank you for being part of our first online drawing together session. This is Mrs. Woodland's first time going live. So thank you for those of you who were being very patient at the beginning while we got everything hooked up. I hope you had fun, and please do share your artwork with me in Google Classroom or Seesaw. I would love to see what you made today. Thanks, guys. Bye.